Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that I received, and the translation reads like this. Hello, how are you, Brother Nash? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? So I am a woman staying here in South Africa, but I do come from Botswana. So most of the people, they can be shocked, why am I here in South Africa? But I am here because of other things that happened when I was still back home. I grew up as someone that was very naughty at school as well as at home. My parents could not even control me at all. Things got really messy in my life when I started dating a South African truck driver. He used to pass through our town a lot, give me money, and this guy and we fell in love. Then he impregnated me. I was so naive, I was very young at that time. He promised me a good life back in his country where I am currently. I was someone who was doing whatever that she wanted without ever listening to my parents at all. We had like real big problems because my dad had gotten married to another woman. This was after my mom had passed away. So at home there was that pressure, knowing that my stepmom does not like me at all. The way that she used to look at me, it was so difficult for me to survive in that home any moment. That environment was too bad, too toxic, and I was going to be very rebellious towards my dad. So since I was very rebellious at home, so much that my dad told me to pack my things and go, then I started staying with one of my best friend when I was still back home. Then this guy, when he heard about my situation, he promised me heaven and earth if I was ever going to come to his country. That is how I ended up being here in South Africa. You might blame me, you might say whatever, but when you get married at such a young age, because I was barely 18, you know that it is very difficult for you to make those kind of decisions. This man then said that since he already had another wife who was staying with his parents, it might bring confusion if he was going to bring me to stay with the wife at the same place. So he looked for an accommodation where I was going to be staying all along. So him being a truck driver, he was never at home, and me being young, I was always that kind of a person who would want to go out for a weekend just to have a good, nice time. I wanted to have all the freedom, and indeed he had given me the freedom that I wanted in my life. Sometimes he would tell me that he would be coming back home after a week, then he would spend more than 3 weeks not being at home, me being alone and lonely. I started dating guys online until I had the confidence to even date the guys that I'll be meeting, and then they would ask for my phone numbers. Then we would go on a date together, even go for a sleepover. I started going to different nightclubs, attending clubs whenever he was not around, to such an extent of even leaving the baby alone with one of these other women who became my best friend now, just making sure that the baby is safe and calm. Then I will quickly go and grab some alcohol, drink, and then return back early in the morning or the same evening when I would have seen that at least I have drank enough, or I have found myself a guy that wants to give me some money. So now it was all about money until the guy found out that this was what was happening. He suspected that I was cheating on him, but he did not know that it was up to that level. He came back from work and he slept with me early in the morning. He told me that whenever he was urinating, the pee was very painful for him. So I never thought that it was an STI that another guy had given me, that I slept with drunk, and we did not use any protection. During the day, he would go to the loo and he would complain that he was not feeling okay when he was busy urinating. He was having a burning sensation, and then he said, I'm going to the hospital. I said, no, don't go to the hospital, because I was now scared. Let us just buy something. That was when he found out that he was having an STI. He was mad at me. He was like, you were the one who gave me this STI. You have been sleeping around with different men. So me and him, we had a big fight. I thought that he was going to return back to me, but he broke up with me. Since I did not even have money to pay rent, then I started surviving on selling my body. And men, they knew that if they would come to me, then I would offer them sex for money. So that is how I became a slay queen. But I was just doing it part-time. I'll be on social media getting myself some men who would come and sleep with me whenever I never thought much about it. I never thought that out there are men that do perform rituals using prostitutes. That is the most dangerous thing that can happen to you, because you meet your client online, then you go and you sleep with them without ever knowing if this person that you are sleeping with has evil or good intentions with you. Such was the case with me. It then happened that I met another guy online, because on my Facebook, I always make sure that I do post pictures whereby I am always looking calm, always looking good, and someone who is wife material. So this guy, he was fresh out of university, gotten himself a job. He was working at this other company in the marketing department. The salary that he showed me that he was earning was okay. He had gotten an apartment, a car. He wanted to start his own family. And we met on Facebook, like I said, and he was like, oh, because of your age, I am willing to marry you. Promise me that you're going to give me my own child after you have raised your own child. And I said, it is okay. In that moment, I thought that this was what I wanted. But when we got into the bedroom, oh God, I saw that God had punished me. So I was always suspicious of this guy. He had avoided sleeping with me, even to send a picture of his manhood. He said, no, it is not decent. Whereas I know that a man will always send you his manhood when he is into you. And I was like, this guy maybe is just a gentleman. Little did I know that he had his own sexual problems. When we started staying together, that was when I found out that this was a disaster, a real disaster. The money was good. The house where we were staying, it was good, as well as the place where he was working at, and having a very good car. And when we were in the bedroom, there was no joy, because as for his pee-pee, the manhood was small as my smallest finger. That is how big it was. I mean, you could feel nothing when you were sleeping with this guy. You would feel totally nothing, as if someone is just putting a tip of their finger inside your body. And I was a woman who was used to different men, your Nigerians, your foreign guys, your South Africans. I had experienced different shapes and sizes of them all. Now I had been cursed, stuck with a guy who had a small pee-pee. So I said, what am I going to do here? That was when I ran away from this guy. But I only ran away from him after I had met another guy online who had promised me something better, who had sent me evidence of his huge manhood, in which I was in need of. That was the problem that I was now facing. Since I had met this guy online, I thought that I was never going to experience anything bad. I just thought that I was lucky. I would end up in the same situation, only with a cool guy with a bigger manhood. Literally, did I not know that this guy, the same guy, he was a ritualist. We spoke, and within a couple of days, he had already booked a bus for me, and he said, I want you to come. He was staying in Limpopo, where I went and I saw hell on earth. I arrived at the place where he was staying, a very beautiful place, but I could not sleep even the very first night. I am not a spiritual person, but I had a dream. In that dream, I saw a man who brought a coffin into the room where I was sleeping. I was scared. I started crying out for my man, saying, please, can you come to me? But I could not see him. There were people inside that room who were forcing me to get into that coffin. I cried until I woke up. Then I realized that the man, he was not there with me. I even got out of bed. I was shaking because the window to the bedroom was open. The door was open. Each and every door and window in that whole house was open. I called out his name, tried to look for my cell phone. I could not even find it until I heard him responding to me, calling from on top of the roof. I said, what are you doing on top of the roof? It is midnight. He then said that the geyser had burst, so he had climbed on top of the roof to fix the geyser. That was really weird and strange. We went back to bed. This man, he was sleeping with me, but the pain that I felt, it was just too much. Early next morning, he did not want to look at me directly into my eyes. He was shy. In the evening, he told me that there was another client whom he wanted to go and see. He went and spent 3 days. I was alone in those 3 days, where I saw things that are quite unimaginable. Whenever I would fall asleep, either during the day or at night on the couch, even outside, I'll just doze off maybe for about 20 seconds. That is when it will happen. A man will just come to me holding a coffin, place it onto the ground, then he would strip me naked, sleep with me. When I would wake up, I would see that on my thighs there would be sperms, even inside my private parts. It would be so wet, so much that fluids would be coming out, and you would see that a man has recently slept with me and left his sperms inside my private part. And that was when the suffering started. I felt so much pain in my womb. Then I went on my periods. I started to experience very painful periods, and there were blood clots that were so black and thick, and the discharge that I was having, I had never had it in my entire life. That was greenish, sometimes so smelly. Then I had a dream of that same man who came to me and he started fighting with me, and when I woke up, I had a terrible headache because this man, he beat me up, saying that, why have you refused to go inside this coffin? Go into this coffin, for I have been given to you. This person hit me straight onto the head. Then I collapsed. When I woke up, I just ran away from that place, left everything, only picked up my phone. That was all that I had. And then I called my friend and I told her what had happened. She did an e-wallet. I went and I collected the e-wallet, got onto the taxi, and returned back to the location where I am now renting a room with my friend. I do have hopes that one day I am going to find a guy who will be able to take care of me, but the life of a slave queen, it is not easy. I do regret being a slave queen. The problem is that I have been thinking about that other guy who have a small PP. Should I go to him and pretend to love him? Because that one I can do it to pretend, but if I do that, then it means that I'm going to have an extra boyfriend on the outside who will satisfy all of my needs. Should I do this for the sake of being with him, since he's a good man, a gentleman, an honest one? In that case, please assist me. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our admin who helped us with this translation. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world.